So if you're into Pro controllers, you will be very familiar with the Elite Series 2. Its blend of comfort and functionality, coupled with pro features like hair triggers, back paddles and customizable profiles, has seen it become one of the most recommended gamepads when someone is looking for an upgrade. But a new challenger has made its way over the horizon in this, the Razer Wolverine V3, a premium controller targeting the competitive gamer, which is looking to claim the top spot as the Xbox Pro controller to go for. And in today's video, we will be putting the Elite and the Wolverine V3 Tournament Edition head to head to see what comes out on top. Which is the better package? Which has the better features? Which one would suit your playstyle best? Well, let's get into it. First and foremost, why have I chosen to compare the V3 Tournament Edition to the Elite, rather than the V3 Pro? Well, for me, the Tournament Edition is just a better value controller, in my opinion. And also for this comparison, it has a similar price point to the Elite, so this definitely makes this a more compelling comparison. If you would like to familiarise yourself a little bit more with the Wolverine Tournament Edition, I have a full review which I will link right here. But for now, let's talk about the areas we will be judging these controllers in. Firstly, the price, including everything that's included with a purchase. Secondly, the design and key features, touching on aesthetics, key attributes, and of course, durability. Thirdly, the customization, and what you can do to make the controller your own. And then lastly, the playtest, how are they under use? Then after that, we will tally up the scores and see who takes it. But let's roll right into it and talk about the price. And starting with the Wolverine, which in the UK will cost you around £100. The US $100 and in the EU €120. For the Elite in the UK it will set you back around £150. The US around $170 and in the EU around €150. Included with a purchase of the Wolverine, we get the controller, this 10-foot USB-C power cable, an instruction manual and some stickers. While for the Elite, again the controller, a USB charging cable, a carry case with charging dock and a full set of controller attachments, including this thumbstick adjustment tool. Now these ones I have fitted right here are actually from Extreme Raids, a controller peripheral brand who were kind enough to send me these super cool blue ones. If you would like to check them out for yourself, I'll leave a link in the description. But getting back to the video, it's fairly clear to see that the Elite gives you better bang for buck in this category. Yes, it is the more expensive controller, but the charging dock and carry case really elevate its value, in my opinion. But we all know that to judge controllers we need to take more into account than just what extras you get for your money. So let's get into our next review section. Starting with the overall aesthetics. And largely these are similar controllers, same standard Xbox stick layout and button placements. The Elite closely resembles the shape of other Xbox pads, while it also sports rubberized side grips and gunmetal accents on the bumpers as well as on the triggers. The Wolverine in contrast has shorter, stubbier side grips, which strangely seem to make the face of the controller seem larger, even though it actually isn't. It also has a textured finish on the rear of the controller for grip, but it doesn't continue onto the front as seen in the Elite. Another similarity is the mostly matte black finish on both gamepads. Not the most exciting, but definitely will suit most. Moving on to the key features, and again there is parity on most parts. They both have adjustable trigger settings, both have customizable profiles and both have 4 programmable back paddles, giving us the main things we would want to see from a Pro controller. There is varying degrees of success in these areas, which we will touch on later. But continuing on with the features of the controllers, and the Elite boasts the ability to tighten or loosen the tension of your thumbsticks, removable and swappable controller attachments, and also wireless functionality. Now these are 3 things that the V3 can offer us, but it does have this raised almost thumbstick-like D-pad, which isn't super exciting, but it does feel great. We also have mecha tactile face buttons, which are awesome to use. We also have 2 additional bumper buttons for the claw players, which again are programmable, and also a 1000Hz polling rate mode when played on PC. This is strictly a PC feature, I will emphasise. But perhaps my favourite of the features that the V3 possesses is the Hall effect thumbsticks, which hopefully should guarantee us not receiving stick drift. And on that point, this is where we should probably drift on over to talk about the durability of these controllers. Now, while I will admit that I can't really give you the full rundown on how the Wolverine V3 will stand up to the rigours of gameplay throughout the years, as it has only been out for a number of months, and I have only actually had mine for around a month now. However, I will say that so far I haven't encountered any problems. This is definitely an area where I have heard many of you highlight the problems with the Elite Series 2. In my comment section, I've seen broken bumpers, triggers, non-responsive face buttons, and last but certainly not least, stick drift. This is caused by the inclusion of potentiometers in the thumbsticks, which are prone to wear and often develop problems on the Elite. Personally for me, my Elite is still holding up pretty strong and has minimal drift, and isn't anything I notice in my gameplay if I'm being honest. But it is something you should consider when planning on which to pick up. So in this section we see the controllers face up pretty well. They both offer the kind of things we want to see in pro controllers, and both have some exclusive features that the other can't match. But for me, when you paint the durability into the picture, I have to lean towards the Razer, the Hall effect thumbsticks being the main differential. But let's move on to the ways we can suit the controllers to our playstyle. What possibilities do we have for customization? In many regards, there is only one winner in this category, the Elite Series 2. We can swap out the thumbsticks, change out the D-pad and back paddles, and also set the tension of the thumbsticks. All of this allows us to kit out the controller to best suit any game type we decide to play, while the Tournament Edition doesn't allow for any of this kind of customization. Now, similarly to the Elite, we can bind our back paddles to give us some extra gameplay options. Now, I've covered the benefits of back paddles many times on this channel, and I will link a video right here highlighting some of them. But the main benefit for me is never needing to take your thumbs off the sticks again, when you bind crouch or jump for example. The options here are also elevated by the additional bumper buttons. I've actually bound my weapon swap to one of these, but they could be used for other things, just like the pinging of an enemy for example. Both controllers have a companion app available that really lets us dial in the customization even further. As mentioned before, we can bind our back paddles here, but we can also create profiles, set our dead zones, perform checks and carry out updates. Basically anything we would want to do to fine tune the controllers. But again, the Elite takes it that little bit further than the V3, as we can also set the Xbox Home button colour, which can be used to signify which controller profile we are on. I love it, and it really adds some nice personalisation to the gamepads. For me, it's fairly evident that the Elite has more possibilities when it comes to customization, mainly down to how easy it is to swap out the controller attachments, and the RGB Xbox Home button. The added claw buttons on the Wolverine do give options not possible on the Elite, while they both have some in-depth fine-tuning thanks to the companion apps. But overall, we have to give this section to the Elite. Now let's get into perhaps the most crucial area of this comparison, the playtest. How do they stack up under use? Well, in hand they both fit well, although there is no denying that the Elite is the comfier of the controllers. There is just a more general focus on this area compared to the Wolverine, which does focus a little bit more on actually making use of the abilities the controller has. An example of this is the placement of the back paddles. On the V3, your fingers sit right on top of them, something I mentioned in my full review, and this really makes them more accessible and more likely to use. While on the Elite, it does feel a little bit less natural to hit all the buttons. Now, I have seen reports of unintended button presses because of this, but for me, this is something I haven't encountered. The Elite is the heavier controller, but this does make sense as it does have a built-in battery. To me, it has a luxury feel. Being wireless and the variety of components make it a great fit for any game type. You can swap them out to suit what game you decide to play, while the Wolverine V3 is more competitively minded. Now, this isn't to say that the Elite isn't. As mentioned, it has plenty of pro features, but overall the V3 is tuned in this regard, the Hall effect thumbsticks and the high polling rate being the standouts. Mentioning the thumbsticks quickly, and there is no comparison, with the V3 feeling the much snappier. This continues with the face buttons as well as with the back paddles, with the mouse click actuation really shining. The less tactile feel of the Elite could come down to the magnetic attachments. Just my opinion, but I do find it to be less precise. The triggers are also superior on the Wolverine. They definitely have a shorter travel and feel more satisfying to use. But with that being said, what the Elite lacks in competitiveness, it more than makes up when playing other game types. It is just the more well-rounded controller. So in this section, you need to ask yourself, what do you find more value in? Comfort and usability, or the competitive edge? For me, being mainly focused on FPS games, I see myself leaning towards the V3, but I could see it going either way. So there we have it, 4 review areas compared and contrasted, but now it's time to tally up the scores. For price and which controller gives you more bang for buck, despite the higher cost, I give this one to the Elite. It just has more included in the package. Design and key features including durability. I've given this one to the Tournament Edition. The way it implements its pro features is superior than the Elite, and the inclusion of the Hall Effect thumbsticks really pushes the durability in its favour. For customization, there is a clear winner, the Elite Series 2. It's packed with extra components that help you mix up your gameplay, something the Tournament Edition just lacks. And how they feel to play with. I can see this one going either way, but if I had to choose, it would be the V3. It is just the more tuned to the kind of experiences I enjoy. But there is no denying that the Elite is the more all-encompassing controller, so I feel it's pretty fair to give a point to each in this area. Adding up, and we have a win for the Elite with 3 points to 2. Now this is often something I find when doing these kind of comparisons. The Elite is a great controller. It feels premium and hits every beat well. So, is that what you pick up, or indeed stick with? Well, it comes down to what I mentioned. We can all agree that the Elite Series 2 is the more well-rounded gamepad. But if it doesn't quite hit in the area you'd want it to, then what's the point? The Wolverine V3 is just the snappier controller, with better triggers, better paddles and thumbsticks. So in conclusion, the all-encompassing king of comfort and usability on a wide variety of gaming is still the Elite Series 2. But if you are looking for the competitive edge, then go for the Razer Wolverine V3 Tournament Edition. But all of this is just my thoughts. I would love to see your opinions on which one is the superior controller. Remember to let me know in the comments below. If you found this video informative, please hit that like button and subscribe for more controller heads-to-heads just like this one right here. But that's it guys, that's the video. Thanks so much for watching, and until the next time, I'll catch us.